Welcome to the final days of Final Fantasy XIV. The final days were upon us. The fabric of the game began to fray. Its community rent by tooth and claw. As the countless YouTube videos of people complaining went viral, the game seemed doomed to unravel. The chaos spread to the already burning star, engulfed it in hate, controversy, weavers, more weavers, toxicity. Except the game isn't even dying, we're just being overly dramatic. Final Fantasy XIV is a dying game, is what you might think after seeing the many videos posted in the last few weeks. Ha, gotcha. Since it's the end of an expansion, it's the perfect time for people to look back and review their experience through Endwalker. And you know, people have been doing that, people have been milking it very well. Now don't get me wrong, that alone by itself is absolutely not a bad thing. Feedback from players is very important for the developers to know what is working for the game and what is not. And since we can't show up at Yoshipi's house at 4 AM and ask for butt sliders, YouTube videos is a good way of communicating these kind of ideas. Criticism is a good thing as long as it's insightful and made within the borders of respect. Even I shared my opinions in one of my previous videos, and I actually really like watching videos like that and seeing what others think about the game. Yes, I know, I'm a part of this problem, but you clicked on this video, that means so are you. Final Fantasy XIV community doesn't love the drama. We are the drama. But the problem is not the criticism, the problem is it became a tiny bit of a trend. What started as a meaningful conversation devolved into something that's really bitter. It doesn't even feel like criticism anymore, it's just people pointing fingers at each other and calling each other names for enjoying the content they don't enjoy anymore. I'm a cat mom, by the way, hi. You can make all those points and criticism without attacking others. It's just really disrespectful, so childish, and overall leaves a really bad taste in the mouth. After watching so many videos like that, especially the bitter ones, I don't blame people for thinking Final Fantasy XIV is in a bad state. Like, I'm imagining if I were a new player and these were the first few videos I've seen when I searched the game, I'll be worried about the state of the game as well. I feel like a video like this is necessary at this point. I personally feel responsible after being a part of this. The funny thing is that Final Fantasy XIV is doing well, actually. It's probably even better for some newer players than the veteran players. There's a consistent player base, we have regular updates, and there's a new expansion coming this summer. The game is not dying. Even though there are some players who moved on from the game or just taking a break, it's still pretty active. Like, you won't have any problem finding people for dungeons, alliance raid, or PvP. The main cities are still bustling with half-naked catgirls, and that's the only thing you need to know. That's how you know a game is in a good state, alright? People are still horny. I said it's even better for newer players because one of the most common criticism I hear from veteran players is that the game feels a lot more simplified now. This can feel frustrating for some of the older players who are already used to the things in-game as they are, but we have to keep in mind that some of these simplifications are to make the game more accessible for newer players. No offense to Celine, but I never really use that fairy anyway. I don't really miss the TP bar or the attribute points. I think the game has a lot less clutter without them. But then again, some older players might feel otherwise because that's what they are used to. If we are really concerned about the future of the game and the newer players, I think it's a good thing that they simplified those. The game already has a lot in it. I think it's good to do some cleanup sometimes. And I have to say, I am so glad they removed some of the quests from A Realm Reborn. That questline was so long, it made me want to grab myself by my ankles and swing myself against a really large rock. So thank you for saving the newer players' time at least. To me, the most changes they made in Post-Endwalker felt like a maintenance. It felt like almost like an investment they made for the future of the game and the newer players. One of the biggest examples to this is adding an option to run the story dungeons with NPCs. It might sound like a really small addition to the game, but it's also really good for newer players who are doing the main story questline at ungodly hours like I used to do. They don't have to wait an hour for their DPS queues to continue their story anymore. Solo content is also something the players have been asking for a really long time, and even though it's not my kind of content, I'm glad they are paying attention to that portion of the player base. It's an investment for the future. They've added new servers, they've also been working on strengthening the current servers so we don't have another Endwalker release day situation. Again, an investment. There is a huge graphical update coming very soon with dawntrail. They are adding grass to the game. We don't even have to go out to touch it anymore. So it's silly to think they don't care about the future of the game. Maybe they even focused a bit too much on these issues this expansion that they neglected the veteran players' wishes. They've been trying out different kind of content like variant dungeons and island sanctuary. It might not have worked as well as they planned, but just the fact that they are trying to add new, fresh content to the game, that they are trying to keep things interesting for the players is telling us the developers are not done with this game yet. A multiplayer game, especially a game as popular as Final Fantasy XIV, won't die unless the developers give up on it. Final Fantasy XIV has regular updates each expansion. They don't give us empty promises like some other games do. They actually make it real if they say something. They actually keep their promises. I know, it's crazy. Developers of the game respecting the player base? Unheard of. It's so much that it feels like a culture shock when you move from another MMORPG to Final Fantasy XIV. We are way too used to the toxic relationship between the developers and the player base. The Final Fantasy XIV community has its moments. Absolutely, I agree, we are unhinged. But overall, it's a very strong community of people who love the game, the lore, and the content. I have met some of the sweetest people I've met online in this game. Instead of burning us out by giving us huge chunks of content and calling it a day, the game is able to retain a loyal player base by giving us consistent content over a long period of time. You know what to expect roughly from an expansion, and I think that's a good thing. It builds trust between the developers and the players. I believe that's one of the main reasons why Final Fantasy XIV became as successful as it is today. As long as they keep doing this, as long as they keep the trust of the players, I can see this game remaining as one of the most popular MMORPGs for a really long time. If you're a new player or planning to give the game a try, no, the game is not dying. We just love complaining on the internet. It's our favorite activity. Don't let any of these things discourage you from starting the game. The game has a long future ahead. It just became one of those trends or even memes of every MMORPG being a World of Warcraft killer. No, the game isn't dying. You don't have to worry. Even if it busts, I will personally keep the servers up by funding Square Enix with my Fantasia addiction. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And let me know in the comment section, do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? What do you think about the state of the game overall? I am absolutely open to criticism, and my opinions don't have to be the same as yours. This is a conversation, not an argument. I just felt like there was a need for a clarification for newer players, because after watching all those videos, even I will think the game is dying, even though I know it isn't. Thank you so much again for making to the end of this video, and with a special thanks to the channel members who support this channel. Thank you so much. You guys are the sweetest. I love your guts, and as always, I'll see you in my next video. Stay cozy.